So, and I think, for example, actually these days, quite a lot's going on, right? So quite lately with the new budget from the government, 2022 to 2023, and they're doubling the subsidy amount under the technology startup support scheme for universities to 16 million Hong Kong dollars. And we found it actually quite interesting. So hence that actually bring to another question from me to Dr. Lam and Wilson is your thoughts on how do you see the SciTech ecosystem should evolve to allow more room for technology transfer from science to startups? So I would like to Wilson to go first.
Hi, thank you, Yang, and thank you very much for having me in the panel. I think your question is a very valid one. Like what Dr. Lam and Professor Zhang has mentioned, we have in Hong Kong, actually, there are lots of very great research resides in the universities. And traditionally, it has been some difficulty because professors, they are very focused on the technology and science behind the idea. So they need to really spend a lot of time into understanding the basic of it. But on the other hand, when we trying to commercialize these breakthrough science and technologies, the individual needs to be very much in touch with the market and understand what the world is, what is happening in the world, what is the latest trend, what is needed in the market. Say, for example, metaverse, is a buzzword for now, but no one actually knows how it is going to be applied, how it is going to be used, how profit is going to be made. The university is very good at understanding and producing those technologies, and we need entrepreneurs who are in touch, who want to try new things. They don't see obstacles, they don't see speed limits, but they just go for it. And with the combination of these two types of very specialized individuals, I think Hong Kong at the moment is doing the right thing in pouring in the very much needed resources, which is money, for one. And then secondly is to create a lot of different programs and a lot of different channels to gain access in the market. Say, for example, in Science Park and of course in the incubation in Cyberport, we created a lot of programs. Not just funding programs, but a lot of support services as well, like investment support, commercialization support, reaching out to the corporate, things like that. And also, the government is also providing a lot of business-based supports to various startups. Like they have this PSTS program, which help companies to bring their new products or services and trial at different non-profit making organizations, and providing that this POC is very important for the company because they need reference cases. And say, for example, the EMSD, the Electrical and Mechanical Department of Hong Kong, they would be the openness department in Hong Kong. Well, traditionally we think that the government departments are very conservative, and all the vendors on their vendor list are like giant companies, hard to get onto the vendor list. But no, actually, the EMSD has created this new platform, and they actively go out and connecting startups with different electromechanical lift companies, MTRs, facility companies, try to bring these technologies into traditional corporates, so that to increase their efficiency and to give them the competitive edge compared to other competitors. So I think it's a whole package, and we are definitely going in the right direction. And with the much resources poured into the ecosystem by the government, we do see a bright future in the coming next few years.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing, Wilson. Totally, I see, and also it's pretty refreshing to see so much initiatives going on from the government side, from different players, stakeholders in the ecosystem. And I definitely see there could be a lot could be done in this process. And 𝐤𝐢𝐿𝐼 is definitely very interested and thrilled to be part of this and see how we can work closer in the future. And now, Dr. Lam Han, how about you? How do you see the ecosystem evolution, or maybe even from an institutional design perspective? What can we do more? And what's your view? Thank you.
Good. I appreciated the good points made by Wilson and also Michael just now. And I think to cut a long story short, I think the devil is in the detail. The time is now, and the approach is teamwork. We need to enhance our ecosystem, our SciTech ecosystem, to get things done. Now, as to some ideas, I think in the innovation and technology sector, we have been discussing quite a lot about ways to do it, and our toolbox also has a lot of things now, solution and so on. So let's act on it. The key is action. So my quick few points are, first of all, we want to make sure we enhance the ecosystem without delay, because I mentioned before that the Hong Kong government has invested more than $130 billion over the past 4 years. Bravo. And we need to do more. And this is not spending, this is investment for the future of Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area. Second, I really think that we need to make Hong Kong even more global, as I mentioned earlier. I think, for example, Michael has a lot of connection with Israel, for example. We have to, work closely with Israel, the startup nation, for example. Now, even smaller than Hong Kong's population. So I think Hong Kong already has extensive links with the tech hubs around the world. We need to actually build a digital platform. This is, to link up all these major hubs and key research clusters among global universities. This can be a metaverse application for Hong Kong's innovation technology sector. So we bring ideas, and I think 𝐤𝐢𝐿𝐼 Foundation is really doing good work now to provide a digital platform, constructive and helpful platform to bring all these scientists and startups together. So we need to do more on Hong Kong's role as a global player. We can do that, and we should do that. We must do it. Another thing we can do is really have more confidence in our young people, in our population, but we need to help them. It's one thing to bring the top people and their family from around the world to Hong Kong. It's another thing to actually incubate and nurture our own talents. So this is why Cyberport, for example, has set up Cyberport Academy to systematically upgrade and enhance our training offerings to our young entrepreneurs by partnering with our various institutions and organizations. We have trained almost 5,000 people in fintech and so on. But that is just the first step on a long march. We have to work together. So why I said just now, the approach is teamwork, because we cannot do it alone. We have to mobilize the whole of Hong Kong community to do it together. And these young people can do it. For example, at Cyberport, these entrepreneurs have actually won over 1,100 awards, and they have filed almost 500 IPs. Yeah, so we got talent, but we cannot forget them. We have to bring them up, develop them, and augment these young people with the very best from around the world. And so they learn together. I like ping pong, but I cannot be a good player if I keep on playing with somebody who is my, not as good. But if I play with a champion, wow, it's my fortune. I can bring up, I can learn, and I can practice. So we have to invest in young people development, and it goes from STEM and everything, the education system reform, how we treat and respect teachers, and all of that. The devil is in the detail, right? So I think we must have about money. I mentioned earlier about risk capital and smart money. Indeed, if we can bring all these top investors, like what Michael mentioned earlier, from Israel and from the US and so on, why not? I mean, they are not just money, because they have seen things and they know where to find resources, a partner to help. The important thing is not the tech investment, it is the post-investment nurturing and help and, assistance, facilitation that is a must. So for example, in Cyberport, we have invested in 23 startups. The key to success is not just making that investment, but after that, how can we bring more talent into these startups? How can we open doors for these startups to find customers and partners? How can we help them to strengthen their reach out and their brand, and so on and so forth? So I think over here, we need to strengthen the various pillars, cornerstone ingredients in our ecosystem. Another example is the capital market. For example, in 2018, the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, took a decision to open up for pre-revenue biotech startups. And Hong Kong is now the #2 fundraising hub for biotech around the world. And I think if we do a bit more work, we become #1 fundraising hub for biotech. But apart from that, the Hong Kong government has been doing a lot of good things these days, including green finance, ESG investing, and also the latest development, family office, and SPAC, special purpose acquisition corporations. So we are doing things, but the champions, the leadership of the innovation technology sector in Hong Kong are also very interested in actions, more actions, timely actions, and more mobilization of stakeholders and engagement of stakeholders. So I think that is very important in terms of our ecosystem enhancement. But one last thing I'd like to say, I mentioned 𝐤𝐢 Foundation's unique edge, and that is the university sector. Well, at Cyberport, we have something called Cyberport University Partnership Program, CUPP. We are working with university to train up these young entrepreneurs. And I cannot, say more in terms of the critical importance of universities. We need to work with universities from around the world. We need to work with top universities in Europe, in, Israel, in, America, in Asia. And that way, our own universities are very good, but we need to also work more to help them. I like to take a strategic approach to investing further in our ecosystem. I think this is absolutely job one, and it cannot wait, and it is worth every effort that we put in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lam. And I think these are really interesting points and thoughts that could potentially inform, like you said, Ylot's work in the future and how we can strategically fit into the picture and how we can potentially fill the gap in a way. We understand there are a lot has been done, but you know, we're human beings and it's a human society, and there's always some sort of gaps. And I think as a charity, we tend to be able to be a bit more flexible. So that I think this is really one of our roles as a charity in Hong Kong promoting SciTech, is that like how we can work with different stakeholders, private and public, and how we can potentially, you know, be very responsive and flexible to the needs in the ecosystem. And I personally really like the metaphor of ping pong that you were saying just now. Because ping pong is not just about 2 players or 4 players. In fact, there's like a tons of like nutritionists, sports scientists, physiotherapists, masseurs, and everyone like supporting them so that they can really perform in those competitions. And kind of like coming back to Professor Zhang's experience, like points on collaboration. So I think it's really great that there's a lot training of the pipeline of the management is coming up, nurturing entrepreneurs, because what I heard is like if you want to commercialize a technology, if you want to, you know, really facilitate the technology transfer, yes, the tech is important, it's really important, but if we don't have many other people, talents like entrepreneurs, the BD person, the sales, the HR getting the right talents into the company, even having the right admin team to take care of the premise and make sure everyone is happy when they're working, there will be still a lot of challenges in terms of like taking the technology transfer forward. So totally, it's really about a holistic approach and how we can strategically really support the scene and development in the future. And we're pretty excited to be part of this. And thank you, Dr. Lam.